West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another live edition of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. I'm on half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, Machel St. Patrick Hewitt. I've got a sweet in my mouth, but I'm here with Santokie Nagilendran. Santokie, how you doing?
Yeah, all good. Mash looking like he's about to host the Cricket West Indies quarterly press conference. Suited up, Mash. And yeah, as you said, we're here for a live show to review day one, West Indies against New Zealand, the first test. And Mash, it was a good day for West Indies, you know. New Zealand finished play on 231 for 9. So West Indies kind of this morning in the second test will need to get the last wicket and bowl them all out. But overall, Mash, I think if you asked most West Indian fans if they would take that at the beginning of day's play, they definitely would. However, as we ask in the thumbnail, whether it was a good day or whether it's advantage West Indies is up for debate because it was a green pitch, overcast conditions. West Indies obviously won the toss. However, they gave away 23 extras. There were a few no balls in there. At one point, New Zealand were 140 for 6, I believe, and they kind of the lower middle order, Nathan Smith and Bracewell piled on the runs a bit. So, what's your take on it, Mash? Good day for West Indies, but even still, would they still be disappointed at having let New Zealand get to 2-3-1 for 9?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I think you have to. The thing about West Indies analysis is you have to be and I think you and I are quite similar in that there is no point in criticizing for the sake of criticizing or even praising for the sake of praise. I think everything West Indies cricket for me, you have to put in context. And the context for this performance was in and of itself, it was a good performance. As you said right at the top of the show, even your most curmudgeonly West Indian fan would have to accept that us having New Zealand 231 for 9 on day one, having won the toss and elected to bowl, that's basically, I wouldn't call it perfection, but if you win the toss and choose to bowl, because how many times, Santokie, have we been to New Zealand, won the toss, chosen to bowl, and then New Zealand pile up 550 runs, right? The ball moves about for the first morning, pitch flattens out, and then they make 550 runs, right? So respectfully, you have to say that was a good day for the West Indies, and we can nitpick. And as you rightly said, at one point they were 120 for 5, then 148 for 6, and you can nitpick about those things. But then you have to remember, Santokie, this is a bowling attack, respectfully, which has Johan Lane, who is only 3 test matches into his international career and probably shouldn't even be playing international cricket yet. OJ Shields, who's come straight from teaching PE period 6 to bowling for the West Indies in an international match. So he's on international debut. Kemar Roach, granted, we know that Kemar Roach is a GOAT out here, but he's come back off the wilderness and pseudo-international retirement to come straight back into the bowling attack. So this is not like this was an elite West Indian bowling attack that we can say, like when we laying down Australia and that was the 2 Josephs and Jaden Seals causing havoc. It's not like this was our best bowling attack and it's elite and so on and so forth. So when you paint that context, how could you say it wasn't a great day for the West Indies?
Yeah, exactly right. It was sort of a makeshift bowling attack. It sort of reminded me of a bowling attack when you get to like the final test of a long series. And we've just had injuries and you just kind of find whoever you can. So as you said, Johan Lane, I think it's only a second test. So he picked up his maiden test wicket in this innings. OJ Shields came in, picked up 2 wickets. And obviously Kemar Roach returned the match. The question about Kemar Roach was, has he still got it? Obviously 37 years old, hadn't played a test since the madness in Multan in January. But I guess he's kind of answered those critics with his third delivery of the day, got Conway, looked really up for it. Conditions kind of suited his movement and his swing bowling. But as you said, overall, considering we're missing the 2 Josephs, you can say essentially it was a subpar bowling attack in terms of our first choice bowlers who we'd normally call up. Let's just get into the selections actually, Mash, first, before we kind of get into the day's play. With the 11, Jamal Warrican, vice-captain, was dropped, which we'd expect because you wouldn't really need a full-time spinner, especially with Austin Chase, for these conditions. However, no Brandon King, no Kavem Hodge, Anderson, Phillip didn't make it into the lineup. Were there any massive surprises for you in sort of the selection for that 11?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to work out if surprise is the right word. The tail is long, right? So if when we back today, I know it's going to be raining on and off probably, but when we back today, I wonder at what point West Indies will say to them, will rue the fact that we only have 6 batters. Okay, Tevin Imlak's at 7, so count Tevin Imlak. Like, it's a long tail to start. Like, Kimar Roach will be number 8. With the greatest of respects to Kimar Roach, Santokie, he's not a test match number 8, right? So you basically have Kimar Roach at 8, and then realistically, Kimar Roach is a test match 9 at best, right? And then you have Lane, Seals, and Shields, who are basically 3 number 11s. Now, I just assumed because of that issue, I think when I did the preview to the test series first test, I said that West Indies would have to make a big decision about how many bowlers they go into the test match with. Would it be 3 frontline seamers, Graves to be a backup man, and then Chase to be the spinner, which is what I thought they might do. Instead, they've gone more aggressive, right? They've said to the 6 batters, do your job. You're there to bat. Do your job. But this is West Indies we're talking about. If it was me, and I'm interested to see what you're going to say, Santokie, if it was me, I would have bolstered the batting with an extra man, knowing that West Indies can't bat properly, and knowing that we might need an extra man to come in at number 6, 7, 8 because things might collapse. So that's the only caveat to the day for me. As much as it's 2, 3, 1 for 9, I don't know what's going to happen when we come to bat, right? And we don't have security at number 7, 8 to maybe put on some late order runs if there is a top order collapse, which we've become quite familiar with in West Indian modern history, right?
Yeah, I mean, fair play to Sammy. He went on the attack, as you said. It was a very attacking lineup. But as you said, Mash, with our batting, clearly, like there's clearly a difference, right, between our bowling and our batting, the levels, right? I would have shored up the batting with an extra batter. My thing is, my concern is, obviously, I enjoyed the performance from West Indies, but if you're looking at New Zealand lineup, Tom Latham, Devon Conway, Rachin Ravindra, Will Young, they're all experienced quality batters, yeah? And they struggled in these conditions. Now, we always say on the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, you can't judge a match until both sides are batted. So my concern is if these men are struggling in their own home conditions, and the conditions aren't going to change much going into day 2, how are we going to cope with our notoriously fragile batting? So that's my big concern, that as much as we got them 2, 3, 1 for 9, are we going to be able to get past 200 with the New Zealand bowling attack? We know their bowling attack, you know, they got the likes of Matt Henry, etc., really out-and-out pacers. So it's whether we can combat that. And what we'll really need is John Campbell and Hope to build on the momentum and confidence they got in India, those centuries, and try and lay the foundations down. But it's very, very brittle lineup. And as you said, Mash, Kimar Roach shouldn't be coming in as number 8 as a batter. So there are big concerns there, but you just have to hope that, you know, someone in that top order does, like even an Afanase or something, can kind of knuckle down and put together the runs. They've seen the conditions. They've seen what it's like out there. It's all about temperament. There's still a long way to go in this test. So let's hope they can kind of put their heads down and kind of stick in there and soak up some balls. But as you said, Mash, we've seen it all too many times over the years, decades, how easily a West Indies batting lineup can collapse. So that is a big concern going into it. But my first concern, Mash, is going into this morning. We always say on the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, we tend to give tailenders the best day of their lives, right?
Yeah, someone's about to. Yeah, let me look at the scorecard. So Jacob Duffy's on 4.
So who's batting out here?
Yeah, Zach Folks is on 4 and Jacob Duffy is on 4. If this is a brand new West Indies team with a new mindset, we'll bowl them out within the first over of the day or first 3 overs. But if this is the West Indies who come to know, love and respect, one of them tailenders is going to get a 50. or the day is even over.
I think if New Zealand can get past 250, right? If they can add an extra 21s, they'll probably be happy with that. They'll take, all right, cool, we've got something on the board, right? And they'll claim, to quote Daren Sammy, they'll probably claim the moral victory for that first innings, bearing in mind the position they were in previously. And then that puts the pressure on Chanderpaul and John Campbell coming out to bat, right? So it's going to be very, very interesting. It's as I said, it's been a good performance from West Indies, but I think it's a stretch to say we have the advantage at this point in the game, right? We need to come out and bat and see how it's going there and really try and build, 50, at least a 50-run lead on whatever New Zealand get.
Can I be real, though? Let's look at something, right? I know the uncles are going to get upset when I say this, but let's look at something. we've turned up to New Zealand, right, for an all-format tour. And up to this point of the series, Santokie, obviously there's no prizes for getting L's, right? But up until this point in the series, not too dissimilar to what happened versus Australia, actually, we've actually been competitive. Now, hear me out. Now, obviously, some people are going to say, Mash, no, we need to get W's. It's not good enough. But remember, we're crap, right? Like we're 8 or 9 in every single format of cricket, right? In essence. In the T20 series, we lost 3-1, but we actually could have won that 3-1 given how close all the games were. In the ODIs, we lost 3-0, but we actually could have won that 2-1 given how close all the games were. And we've gone to the Test series, and on day one, I'm not going to say we're on top, but we're certainly not behind. Have you, Santokie, am I right here to say? Hey, listen, standards are low that I'm getting excited about this. Am I right? Am I right to say I'd never seen us this consistently competitive in a full tour across various different, in a long time, across various different formats?
Yeah, so the first three T20 matches we played in New Zealand is the only time in the history of T20 cricket where 3 matches of a series have had less than 10 runs in it. I think New Zealand won the first one, but we won the first one by 7 runs. New Zealand won the second by 3 runs. Then they won the third one by 9 runs. I think there was an ODI as well where they won by 7 runs as well. So really and truly, if you're looking at the scores, right, you'll be saying, all right, cool, we took 3-1 L's in the T20s. We lost 3-0 in ODIs, typical West Indies. But as you said, Mash, if you're looking at the kind of Machel Arteta trust the process kind of thing, if you're looking at our performances within that match, it's been very, very close. Like there was one ODI where Seals bowled a no ball, right? And that sort of ended it in the final over. If that had gone right for Seals, then we'd have taken the win. There were very fine margins. As you said, we could have easily won the T20 series or the ODI series, then the whole narrative changes. So we have been competitive, but again, it's like the Australia Test series, right? We were competitive in that because we bowled Australia down quite a few times for under 200. But at the end of the day, people remember the results, and particularly 27 all out. That's basically what the series is going to be remembered as, yeah? So unfortunately for the players, they'll need to get some sort of W in one of these tests for it to be seen as, progress. Because if it's close, but we still lose 3-0, the critics are still going to come out. But I would agree, in terms of at least the last 3 New Zealand tours that we've gone on in the last 12 years, this is the closest. Because as you said, normally the tradition with tests is wherever New Zealand bat, they'll put on 500 to 600 against us, declare, and then try to bowl us out by an innings, basically. Like it normally follows that pattern, and we get comprehensively battered. So it has been close, and that's a testament to sort of the side Sammy has been building across the format. So yeah, I agree with your point. I think it has been closer than what we'd sort of come to expect. I mean, going into this match, we knew we were going to take L's, right? Not many teams go to New Zealand and get W's across format. So we knew we were going to take L's. But what we're looking at here is the performances, right? So there has been improvement in that regard. And hopefully, as you said, we can build on it. But Mash, let's get into one talking point. Obviously, OJ Shields, your fellow teacher, coming out here, getting his test debut. He bowled a no ball. I think he bowled Williamson, was it? And it was a no ball as well, front foot no ball. So he got off to sort of an inconsistent start, but then he picked up 2 wickets. What do you make of it for OJ Shields? Bearing in mind, he's 29 years old, hasn't played much cricket regionally at first-class level or anything like that. What do you make of him coming into this test?
Yeah, so I released a short, which, put up on like Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all them different places. And a couple Jamaicans got in touch with me and cussed me out, which is standard. Cussed me out and said, you need to support your fellow Jamaican. For all you know, OJ Shields is gonna perform. Yeah. Some men were getting violent in their comments towards me. But I just want to clarify that short that I put out about OJ Shields, I thought I was quite clear. My argument, and my argument still remains, is that we have got to a point in West Indies cricket where a man can be a PE teacher and come straight into the West Indies team. That's not OJ Shields' fault, right? And I'll stand by it. I would, if I was a chairman of selector or something, I wouldn't have picked him. But I did say the following. I said that I understand the rationale to pick him. You don't have to agree with it, but the rationale that Jamal, one of the selectors, I can't remember his exact title. Is it talent ID or selector? The rationale that Jamal explained and then Daren Sammy explained makes sense to me. Shamar Joseph is out. Alzari Joseph is out. And when you look around the Caribbean for somebody who can actually bowl at high pace, there ain't many men. So they looked at OJ Shields and said, right, and he's played A-team cricket. We've looked at this guy. He has high pace and we believe he has some kind of attributes that we can work with. You don't have to agree with the rationale, but the rationale makes sense, right? And ultimately, my take on it was, I hope he does well. I still wouldn't have picked him, but I hope he does well. And Santokie, on day one, what's he got? What's his stats? It's, let me read it. 9 overs, 2 maidens, 2 for 34, economy 3.77. Now, naturally, here's the comparison. Kimar Roach went economy 2.7. Jaden Seals went economy 2.9. So there's levels to this. But he did as well as you could expect for a man who literally is teaching PE, is not necessarily automatic first choice in the Jamaican side, and has been plucked out and put straight into international cricket. In fact, he's not even done better than expected. He's done super better than expected.
Yeah. And I think that kind of falls on into the whole kind of Shamar Joseph effect, whereas like in the region, they'll be thinking, if there's a player who shows certain attributes, raw attributes, then we can give him a chance at international level, because at this point in time, we can't be fussy enough to see who's been coming through the normal development routes. If they perform well in an A-team game, we'll throw them into the senior side, and particularly with bowlers, right? So I think they've gone down that route. But Mash, it's an interesting, another talking point would be, for the last, 3 years, Anderson Phillip's basically been the closest understudy, right? When everyone's been fit. He played one test against India, didn't do well, was struggling. Now he hasn't played in New Zealand, where I would assume the conditions would suit him probably best in terms of his bowling style rather than India. What do you make of it? Do you just think it's a case of Sammy don't rate him at this point in time? Because he's had numerous opportunities to play Phillip, and now with, as you said, it's a threadbare bowling attack. They had to call back Kimar Roach. They're playing Johan Lane. They've called time on OJ Shields' teaching career. The man had to leave his teaching to come out here to play New Zealand. What would, if I'm Anderson Phillip, I'm going to be vexed, just out here sitting watching teachers getting called up from school to bowl out here, and I'm not getting picked. So is this a final indication, the fact that a fit Anderson Phillip hasn't been picked for a New Zealand tour when there's no other options? Is that a final indication that this coaching setup just doesn't rate him at this point in time?
At this point in time, Anderson Phillip best just come and sit in my seat and take my job in school and let me come replace him as backup bowler in the West Indies team, because I got a greater chance of playing. I got teaching qualifications too, so I got a chance of playing. Anderson Phillip best just go get his qualifications, But no, on a serious note, I would love, and actually that's up to, because obviously I know a lot of media people watch our show. So for all the people that purport to be cricket media journalists, etc., my advice to you is as follows. At the next press conference that Daren Sammy is in, whether it's virtual in New Zealand, etc., I think the right question to say to him is to say, Daren, why is Johan Lane and OJ Shields playing ahead of Anderson Phillip? Please give the clear rationale. And I'm not saying there isn't one. I'm just saying somebody should say to him, Daren, please give the clear rationale as to why a West Indies Academy youth man is playing ahead of Anderson Phillip, and why a man who's not played many first-class games has also jumped ahead of Anderson Phillip. What do they have in their arsenal that makes you think that they are more reliable than Anderson Phillip, who has test match experience? I'm not, and again, Santokie, I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer there, but I'd love to know the rationale.
Yeah, I think it's just a case of transparency, because if Sammy came out and said, oh, look, Anderson Phillip, he's not bowling at the pace we'd expect him to in training or net sessions, then you say, fair enough, cool. At least there's some sort of metric. But at the moment, it's kind of like, why isn't Anderson Phillip playing? But at the same time, he's getting called up for all these squads, right? Overseas tours, home tours. So why is he getting called up? If he's good enough to get called up to the squad, why is he not playing in 11? Bearing in mind, he does have test experience. And also, let's not forget, in the last year or so, he's been playing county cricket at Lancashire as well, which is a high standard as well. So it's kind of baffling why we haven't chosen to use it at any point in time. I think if we don't see Phillip across any of the 3 tests, then big questions have to be asked about sort of, does Sammy see a future for Phillip? Why is he not in the 11 at the moment? So that's one thing going ahead there, Mash. But any other final talking points? Yeah,
just got one more thing that I'd like to raise. and it hasn't affected us yet for this game, and it may not affect us for this test match, but I do think it's a talking point. Roston Chase and Justin Graves are all-rounders, right? So you have one batting 5 and one batting 6. Both of them, it's not like they're all-rounders where batting is their strong suit and their bowling is a bonus. Now, some might say, yes, that's the case match for Graves, certainly. But for example, Santokie, in the first innings, Justin Graves bowled 10 overs. And he bowled well, by the way. So boy, Santokie's webcam went mad there. But anyways, so Justin Graves bowled 10 overs, 3 maidens, 2 for 35. So he bowled more than Shields, right? Roston Chase bowled as many as Shields, 8 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 13. Now, my point here isn't to criticize Roston Chase and Justin Graves bowling. Between them, they took 3 wickets, so they were critical to the bowling lineup. My question is this, Santokie. Is either one of them good enough with the bat for us to be playing both and not a pure frontline batter? I'm not saying that a pure frontline batter must come in and one of them gets dropped, but do you see my issue there about you're effectively shunting in 2 all-rounders who you fully expect to bowl? It's not like they're part-timer all-rounders. They actually always bowl if they're playing. Yeah. But you'd look at the batting stats and go, well, hold on a minute. I'm also expecting you to show up with the bat, but do the stats back up that you can show up with the bat? And if the stats don't back up that you can show up with the bat, why are we not playing a frontline batter? Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think Graves kind of made this side, particularly because he hit that 50 not out against India, kind of showed he could do it with the bat. Roston Chase, because he's captain as well, he has to come in. But yeah, I think I completely agree. I think in terms of their batting qualities, neither of them have been consistent enough with the scores to kind of be like, all right, cool, these are absolutely genuine all-rounders who can bat and bowl. At the moment, it's like they're bits and pieces all-rounders, so you'd expect Greaves and Chase to nip in with a few wickets here and there when it's handy, but I wouldn't be relying on them when they come out to bat that they're going to put up even a 30 to 50 kind of score, because you just haven't got the confidence that you would have with like a Jason Holder coming out to bat, for instance. So that is one question, but I just think, I think in the context of, as you said, our bowling lineup, because this could have easily gone wrong, if OJ Seals was missing his length and Johan Lane as well as it was getting inconsistent, we need someone to turn to. So I think they've just shored up the bowling because of the inexperience. Yeah, good point. I think that's really why they've gone with Greaves and Chase, because they were plan B in case plan A didn't work. Luckily for Sammy and co, Shields and Johan Lane bowled well yesterday. And so we move on to day 2, Mash. Obviously, like we said, our first expectations is to laying down New Zealand within the first 10 minutes of day 2, get it over with and come out to bat. And then hopefully, for me, a successful innings would be if we can get 50 on top of whatever New Zealand scored, and that puts them.
Wait, hold on, because I was just about to answer that question. When you say a successful, let me just check with. That's a successful one. What's likely, Santokie? And actually, before you answer what's likely, what score does this team need to get in the first innings for uncles to not cuss out Daren Sammy? Because right now they can't cuss him because West Indies, it was 2-3-1 for 9. So what score will stop him getting a cuss out?
300. You have to hit 300.
Wait, what? No. Santokie. I said no, but I'm saying what's likely.
Oh,
no.
What's like? All right, so to stop
so 300 to not. What's the minimum he can get that everyone would go, okay, fair enough?
It has to be 300, man. All right, let's put it this way, yeah. If New Zealand got out 2-3-1 all out, yeah, and we get out 200 all out, you think people, West Indies fans are going to be happy with that? They're going to be like, no, what's going on? We got 200 all out. I think for them to say, all right, Sammy's doing a good job here, you'd have to take New Zealand out for under 250 and then hit 300, take a 50-run lead. But what's likely to happen?
Now let's go to what's likely. What do you think is most likely? So let's say
I think most likely to happen is West Indies bowled out for under 200. I think most likely.
Okay, let's both pick a score.
I'll go 185.
Let's say New Zealand 250. So if West Indies get bowled out for under 200, we're not last in the day, right? So we're lasting a couple sessions. predict now, and actually everyone else who's still in the chat, there's about 300 of you. What score will we make on day 2? The rain notwithstanding.
I say 185 all out is my realistic one. Just because I think Matt Henry, Jacob Duffy, Zach Folks is playing on his home ground. I just think those pacers they could leg down any batting lineup. So, and with our fragile batting lineup, I think if we can get to 200 to 250, that'd be great. If we can, I think realistically, to have a chance in this match, we have to have a 50-run lead on New Zealand. How likely that is, but I think realistically we'll probably get close to 200, 185. That tends to be sort of the range we go in, and I just think the conditions, as I said, if Conway, Rachin Ravindra, Tom Latham are all struggling out here, John Campbell, Tajanarayan, Chanderpaul, etc., are going to struggle. So look what
Hackney said.
Hackney. Yeah, we have to get to 28.
That said, wipe out 27 first.
So basically, the new rule is when we get 28, whoever's batting needs to raise their bat to the dressing room.
Okay, so Hackney is saying first, let's just get to 28, and then we move from there.
Yeah. All right, Mash. So, what's your prediction? West Indies today, end of day 2.
I think we make end of day 2. I was gonna give you a first innings score.
Right, first innings, yeah.
400.
400, bumper.
Yeah.
Mash really don't want the haters to come in the comments.
400. West Indies are going to make 400 in this first innings. If it's not raining, okay, let me just give you the caveat. If it's not raining and if it's not as overcast as it was on day 1, and like there's even a bit of sunshine, 400.
Listen, if West Indies hit 400 against this bowling lineup, then give Daren Sammy lifetime contract, man. But Mash, we said we keep these live shows quick because we're going to be doing them daily, so we'll wrap it up. Bigger talking points to come in the following episode, so we'll be back around the same time tomorrow for day 2 to see whose prediction came true. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe, all the usual social media channels. No www.com, that doesn't exist. Anyone who watched the last episode. But I've been Santokie, that's been Machel, live from the classroom. Day 1 review. We'll be up tonight watching day 2 and following it tomorrow. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Take care and good night.
West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.